Oh, yeah. That is the excitement that I like to see on a Saturday. All right, let's get started. Thank you so much for coming to the breaking into the voiceover panel. I'm going to quickly get started with our first guest. You've seen him as Takemichi in Tokyo Revengers, Shiki Tademaru in Kimono Jihen, and Jocko in Shaman King Season 2 coming out on Netflix. We got AJ Beckles.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Awesome. Hi, guys. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
I appreciate you guys and coming in and supporting and everything. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. All right, next up, we have this awesome voice actor is Nessa in Pokemon. Misumi Tozawa, or Mito in Sword Art Online the movie, progressive, Aria of a Starless Night, and of course, Mirko in My Hero Academia.
Let's go.
We got Inaris Quinones.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
How
thank
we
you for joining
doing?
us.
We vibing okay? Thank y'all so much for coming here to vibe with us as we talk about voiceover.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And then last but not least, we have, you may have seen this voice actor in Shuji Hanma in Tokyo Revengers, Cyborg in Young Justice, and of course, Hawks in My Hero Academia. Please welcome Zeno Robinson. How are you guys doing?
Hello, hello.
We're good. We're very good.
Is this your usual weekend activity?
I know it's my powers are kicking in. Sorry, guys.
Well, Zeno bringing in the green smoothie.
Oh, just trying.
Is that for everybody?
It is. And
A good, like,
COVID,
quart there.
I'm free.
Just
I'm,
get 'em
I'm
out.
vaccinated. Anyone wants?
Oh, yeah.
So.
I think we can do anything after we drink that. Well, I want to start off with a little fun question of what's made you happy this week?
Oh.
AJ?
Being here. I've been apartment hunting for the past like 2 weeks, and it sucks for LA, and the housing market sucks. So being here and getting away from that and being here and being with you guys is really dope. So that's made me happy. Yeah.
Thank you. Inaris?
So I travel a lot lately for cons and also to check out LA and stuff. So I've been away from my two kitties. Their name is Sammy and Star, and they're very close to me. They're my babies. I love them. And every time I leave, they just kind of detach. Because they're like, man, you keep leaving. Like, we can't do this. But then eventually they get close to me. And right now, they're close to me, and they were sleeping with me. Like, I don't know. I just love cuddling with the cats. It gives me serotonin, so. Lots of cuddles.
Yeah. And Zeno?
I saw Spider-Man
Oh.
Oh, yeah? That's another thing.
It was really cool, so that made me happy.
Can we get like a either thumbs down, thumbs sideways, or thumbs up?
Two thumbs,
Oh.
two thumbs.
All the fingers.
Yeah, please.
If I
So good.
had more hands.
Yeah, no, for real, it's very good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Best of the trilogy.
That's going to be the
Absolutely.
next thing on our weekend to-do list.
Yes.
Well, again,
Get
thank
it
you.
done before you
Oh.
get spoiled.
Don't go on Twitter.
Literally, don't go on any
Don't-
social
don't
media.
go on
Blackout
Twitter.
time.
Yeah.
That is impossible to be spoiler-free in this day and age.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Unfortunately.
It's really
Yeah.
hard.
Well, first I wanted to start off with like rewinding back in time a little bit. Can we talk about what your very first audition experience was like? We'll start back this way, Zeno.
Actually, my very first voiceover audition, I booked it.
Oh, you did it yourself?
My very first voiceover audition was for Alan in Ben 10 Alien Force.
Ben 10!
Yeah.
Anyone
that was-
remember that, Ben 10?
Yeah, that was my very first job. And actually, when I signed with my agency, it was only supposed to be for commercials. They just, one of the agents just sent me because I fit the specs.
Yeah.
And this was back when they didn't give you sides. I had to read the whole script.
Oh,
the
wow.
whole
So you got the
thing.
full
Time when they do
context?
that?
Yeah, they
Hey,
just
yo.
gave me the script, and I just had to read
That's crazy.
the whole thing.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah, and that was like my very first voiceover audition, and I got it. It was crazy.
Nice.
So-
You made it happen.
Yeah.
Born to be the goat.
Yeah.
I didn't work after that for 7 years, so no.
Well,
Uh,
well, I'm glad you brought up Goat because actually, if you guys didn't know, Zeno actually won Best English Voice Actor Performance at the 2021 Crunchyroll Anime Awards. So
I did. Yeah, thank you. And
Mad props.
if any of you voted, thank you. I appreciate it. It was cool. It's an honor. Anaris should have won, in my opinion, but you know.
Nah.
I was honored to be nominated alongside her in that year.
Yes.
Well, Anaris, what was your first audition experience like?
Well, really, I started voice acting when I was 10 or 11, so I can't really say anything, but I'm trying to think of, like, my first industry. I guess my first one was Kimono Friends. I voiced Crested Porcupine, and that was, I did the audition remotely. I was just auditioning for all these cute girls, having fun, and I was like, I'll never book these, but, you know, I'm gonna have fun. And then I was working as a mental health technician at the time, and I was just chilling at work, doing my notes and such, and then I checked my email, and in the junk folder, it's like, oh, hey, you've been cast. I'm like, what? Huh? Excuse me? And then I flew out next week, and it was awesome. So
You're like, I'm suddenly sick. I gotta be out for a day. Don't ask me why.
Right.
literally, that's what I did.
Yeah. Took a mental health day.
And I booked
Right.
that from Florida, so
Yeah, it's crazy.
pre-COVID.
Especially for back then, yeah. I can't remember. I think my first like auditions were online.
Yeah.
On like Behind the Voice Actors when they had an auditions, which they recently got rid of. You could have auditioned on BehindTheVoiceActors.com because I didn't know Casting Call Club existed. But as far as industry stuff is concerned, my first anime audition was Jujutsu Kaisen, and I didn't get it, but that's okay.
That's a strong first.
No,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
strong. Like I remember, I think I was on a Discord call with Anaris at the time, and I got the email, and I was just screaming. I was so excited because for me, Naruto is like my favorite nostalgia-wise. Like I will always say Naruto is my favorite anime, but as in terms of like content that I've enjoyed like thoroughly, like I can't find anything wrong. Jujutsu Kaisen is like my favorite thing ever. And I was like always saying like I want to get auditions, but that's never gonna happen because it was before the anime was even announced, you know, when I started reading the manga. And then I got it and I was freaking out. I didn't get it, but that's okay. And I'm grateful for that moment. And then a couple months later, I for the same studio that dubs Jujutsu Kaisen sent out auditions for Tokyo Revengers, so I booked that. So
Nice.
I'll take it.
Who was
Yeah.
the character in Jujutsu Kaisen that you auditioned for?
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. I actually lost my voice.
Yes.
I was auditioning for Sukuna, and I was like, my voice can never do that, but I'm gonna show him that I'm a beast. So I did it, and then I lost my voice. So even if I was cast, I would have been like, hey, I can't do it, and they would have recast me. So I guess there's a blessing in disguise. But yeah.
We need to bottle some of this confidence, you know, and
Yeah.
sell it out. Like you don't know what's gonna happen unless you go out and do it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Shoot your shot.
Yeah. Well, you know, with the breadth of characters that you play, there's always a lot of emotions that you have to go through scene by scene, right? What type of emotion do you prefer to do, and what do you like least prefer to do? Anaris?
Ooh, I love getting to be emotional, like in the sense that you're in your feelings, like depression. Like One Direct Priority, I got to do a lot of that, and even Horimiya with Yuki, like, you know, that kind of brooding. I like doing that. I like exploring a character's own mind, the demons that they deal with. That's just very fun for me. I'm also a psychology major, so that's part of it.
Oh.
But yeah, no, just the parts where it gets personal and emotional and kind of dark, you know, because our minds can be pretty brutal sometimes.
No, it's fair. AJ?
My favorite type of emotion to play, I don't know if it's an emotion, but a personality type is just like, you know, everybody sucks and, you know, I'm the only one that matters. I'm a lone wolf.
Edgy
Emo.
Screw up.
Yeah,
it's my favorite. Like Sasuke is
The
like,
OG.
there's
NCT.
so
Megami.
yeah, you know, every like the main character is usually like the super bubbly, like energetic type. I like to play like maybe the best friend that's like kind of more realistic about
Lone
things and
wolf.
stuff like that, and you know, super fun to play. My least favorite, I don't know if I have a least favorite. I don't enjoy playing. I think my voice lends itself to more higher energy characters. They're not my favorite to play. Because I don't understand them as much. It's weird because like in day-to-day life, I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of like happy and energetic, but in terms of like when I have to act, I'm like I don't know what to do.
I don't get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, us actors don't want to be ourselves. That's why we're character voice actors.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's what I would say. I think the brooding characters are my favorite.
Brooding.
My personal favorite emotional range to play is always like vulnerable. I like getting to play characters
Damn,
who,
we all the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are like just
Who-
bleeding hearts out here.
yeah, like just
Trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
Relatable.
because I think for all of us here, like acting is also a form of expression. So you can kind of like channel something you're going through a character. Sometimes it doesn't work though. Sometimes it doesn't work. But I really like being able to play a character when they get very vulnerable, and I don't get a lot of opportunities to do that. I usually play characters who like yell a lot. And get mad, and usually like anger is like fun to play, but I personally it's fun to shout and I like yelling, but I like emotionally vulnerability a little bit more because it's a different type of kind of emotional connection.
There's a lot of complexity to that.
Yeah.
And a lot of subtleness, really. I
Yeah.
think that's the fun part, like exploring the subtlety of that kind of vulnerability.
Yeah. My least favorite. I don't know if I necessarily have a least favorite. I find it hard to connect with playing villains a lot though. Like every time I
Oh.
get cast as like a villain or like a dad or something, that's very hard for me.
I like that you equate
dad?
villain with dad.
Yeah.
When have you played a
trauma.
dad?
Some layers there.
Or like just like characters who I don't like. I can't mentally connect with, and sometimes I get cast as like older characters, like, and I'm just like, I don't get this guy. I don't think I like my voice lends itself to this character authentically because I don't know where they're coming from. So I feel like anything like that is very difficult for me to connect to. Anything that I find difficult to connect to is my least favorite.
Okay, so there's
yeah.
it makes sense of like there's a little bit of
Real adults. I can't play
Real-
real adults because I'm not one yet.
who is good at playing real adults here. That's our entire lives. But I understand what you mean of like there's a level of personal experience or relatability that lends itself to like when you are playing that character.
Yeah.
It's easier to express or emote that way.
Yeah.
Nice.
We usually, I think, I don't know who else like this, but I think we usually tend to gravitate to characters who are kind of like us, right? Like, wow, this person's just like me. I'll know how to tell this person's story, because they're like me. And it's harder to tell a person's story who's not like you, because it's like you have to find ways to connect with them.
Yeah.
As
But it's
opposed-
interesting exploring it because, like, for One Direct Priority, the character I connect most to is Oto, who's the main character. Like, I feel her 100%. But I was cast as Rika, and Rika expresses her emotions in a different way. Because for me, I like being vulnerable. I'm very open with my emotions. I'm very honest about it. But Rika just internalizes things and she hides, and I'm not used to that. So exploring that and trying to figure out how to do that, it was fun, And I think being able to explore characters who have a different type of vulnerability than us is like interesting,
Yeah.
Like how it's more. If you learn more about the world in a way.
Yeah, Vanitas was kind of like that with me.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, Vanitas. I mean, it's a whole. Talking about layers.
Yeah, he's a mess.
What is one skill that you learned working in the industry that you didn't anticipate or expect to learn?
A skill in what sense? You mean like acting wise or just like?
In general, it's like you go in with, I'm sure, notions of like, I'm gonna have to learn about this or this. But what's something that when you're actually working through these roles and working with the team and the project is coming to life that you didn't anticipate? Oh, I actually have to prioritize learning this skill too to be successful.
Well, I haven't mastered this yet, but enunciation
Same.
and pronunciation too. Because like when I was younger, I was a bookworm, and I was also a writer. So it's like I know a lot of words, but I don't say them. And so when I get to say them, like the director will be like, "What? That's not how you pronounce it." Like, and it's so weird. Like I don't like I'll be correct. It's like that's not how you pronounce it, and I'll ask for like a pronunciation check, and they're like, "It's this," and they'll like act like I'm dumb. And I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I just don't say this word on the."
No, there's plenty of words that you see written and you don't expect to say out loud in the real world a lot.
I don't know if this is like a skill, but something I definitely had to learn was like, as an actor, like owning your power as an actor. And for me, that always comes in the form of asking for like several takes, or like
That's something I learned too.
like throwing in ideas or trying to like have creative input in my position in the process of making. And I think that just is like for any medium. Like if I'm doing a prelay show, usually like Disney, like Big City Greens or Owl House, it's like do 3 takes, and I'll do 2 takes as written, and then I'll do 1 take. I'll add something, or I'll do something that I want to do, like what I would think would enhance the line, whether it's a breath or a grunt or an extra word or 2 or improv like a phrase. And like when it comes to like dubbing, I'll sometimes ask for another take and try to take it in a different direction or give them another read just to see what they think. And I feel like before I would kind of be afraid to do that because usually I think us as actors, we kind of give our power away to like the directors and the producers, and I think that's just something that I started to learn for myself as an actor over time as I started to work more.
Yeah, that's how you remain, I think, happy throughout the whole career.
Like I would hate to have like. And this happens sometimes, but I like hate it when like I'll do a take and I'm like, I hated that, and the director's like, good, moving on, and I'm like, but I don't, and then that stays with you, and then I'll be thinking about it like hours after the session, like I should have just asked for another take, like now that terrible take is going to be used and everybody's going to hear it, so.
Because the thing is even if what they choose at the end of the day is what they choose, like. Sometimes I'll just be like, sure, give it a shot. And like they might be like, oh, that was good, and then never use it. Yeah. But like at least it lets you get it out. Yeah. As opposed to being like,
at least you tried.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. As far as what I've learned, I've kind of started to learn to accept myself more. I think it's very easy for voice acting for you to be like, what cool voice can I use? Or like, what does the character sound like? And then, because you read the sides and they'll say like 15-year-old, and you'll be like, do I sound 15? Right. Let me raise my pitch up a little bit. And then maybe to me, I sound 15 now, but to the director or the person casting it, I sound like I'm 11. Yeah. So it's just like, I have a high voice, that's okay. And that's an advantage, I think, in some areas and a disadvantage in others, but I can't like predict what other people want.
You never know.
And exactly. And I've also, in turn, it's allowed me to learn to kind of stop hesitating. Yeah. Because you want to impress whoever you're with at the time. Like if it's a cool director that you like really want to work with, or a cool show and you really want to make sure you don't get anything wrong, you might play it safe. But kind of like what Zeno said with like doing 2 takes that they want and 1 take that they might not expect. Oftentimes you're like, they might not always take it, but they might be like, I like what you did there. Can you do 3 more takes kind of in that same vein, but switch it up, and because they're not opposed to it. It is a group project at the end of the day. So that's what I'm kind of learning, is just kind of to stop hesitating, shut off the brain that thinks too much, and just go for it and have fun, because that's what makes me unique, and that's what makes me work more.
Yeah, they pick you because of what you bring to it in the first place.
Right.
So like what, why would they be opposed if they chose you for what creatively you add to the process and to the character? So I usually like to really, really like put my foot in it. Yeah.
And going to the whole like accepting yourself thing that AJ said, that's actually another thing I can say that I've started to learn. As you guys probably know, I have a range on me, and I definitely tend to use voices that aren't mine, but I'm starting to learn to kind of go with my natural voice more for characters, and I find that it works. Like I did a role recently for a video game where I just literally was my natural voice. Like they didn't need to, have a reference for me or anything. It's like, oh yeah, it's just me, and I had a lot of fun, and I felt like I could do a lot more.
It's less to think about.
Less to think about, It's just like, okay, where are they at? And it was one of the more fun roles. So I think, accepting what, like, you naturally, because I think sometimes it's hard to do that, especially with, like, as, like, you see, like, a lot of voice actors, especially, like, the veterans, like, they change up their voices and everything. You're like, oh, I got to do that. I got to be, competitive in that way. But sometimes you are enough.
You don't have to have a lot of range.
Yeah.
You just have to be believable.
Exactly.
It's the main thing.
So like it's really important to be able to like as you grow make that space for yourself to do like additional takes or interpretation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Take creative control, I think.
Well, in terms of that process, what is your process for learning and inhabiting the characters that you play? Because I'm sure everyone has like a different way that they go about it.
Yeah.
My process kind of changed. I used to, like, when I first started, I was like, I'm the shit. Like, I'm really good. I'm going to just wing it. That's not a good thing to do. I think at this point, I'm kind of like, I like to read, because we don't get a lot of context when we get side. So I like to, before I even step in the booth at this point, I like to read the script in its almost entirety, not just my parts, because usually it's only like a couple pages, so it's not that bad, or less. And then I'm like, okay, what can I see is going on here? Because even if you're wrong about your assumption, at least you're making a choice,
Yeah.
and that will show up.
Yeah.
So at least, okay, this is happening. He wants this because can I come up with a reason? Okay, based on this is why he probably wants this. So let me put that intention behind every single line in this scene. It won't make the line sound the same. It'll just be like, okay, I'm just trying to get something. And as long as you're trying to get something, you can come up with a different way to say something or do whatever in order to get that thing. That's what I do for auditions. But I think for like when I've already booked the role and everything like that, it's me just asking questions. I'm just like, okay, who is this character like? What did you have in mind? What's going on in this character's mind at the moment? Can you help me? Because oftentimes I find that like I might think like, oh, this character is more like SpongeBob, and they'll be like, no, he's more like Finn from Adventure Time, and I'm like, oh, okay. And that might, give me some ideas of what I can do. But yeah, that's how I.
So that additional input really helps.
Yeah, it does a lot.
Oftentimes they like give you like sometimes, not a lot, which I hate. They usually give you a picture of like what your character looks like, and that informs a lot. That's like that like how big they are, how small they are, how do they have like teeth that jut out, like that usually like really helps you inform a creative idea of what the character sounds like. And then they give you a description of like what the character is, which usually you can really infer from like the sides. Similar to AJ, like I read the sides, and I try to figure out what's going on, like what's the want, and then like as far as the character, like how do I relate or connect to this character? Like what links us? Like how can I be truthful? How can I express this character's truth honestly and authentically? And then I just like kind of play like I throw all that out the window and then I play and I do my thing. And like, what do I want to do? Like, usually it's like, what do I want to do with this character? If it were me and I was gonna go into work right now and play this guy, what would I do? And that's usually a good barometer for like freeing myself of any expectations of like trying to book it, which is always there. But that's usually like kind of my process, is trying to link it to myself.
My usual process is I'll receive the script, I'll, skim over everything, like I'm getting a feel for the character, like these are like points that the writers and directors are pointing out, right? And then I will go over the script and I will like just do a take and I will play with it from there, and maybe I might be off on like some intentions, but I can kind of figure out like who the character actually is, because sometimes, the character descriptions aren't quite accurate, like yes. Maybe there's something else that's in the character that wasn't quite captured in the description. So I kind of feel my way through the scene when auditioning, and if that's enough then I send that, but usually that doesn't happen. I usually play with it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I always try to have like an image of like what's going on. It's like, oh, okay, this happens here, oh, let me add this, or oh, they're doing this, maybe I can add this. So yeah. I try to play, and I play by just doing it. But when it comes to actual like booking, I like being prepared. I like reading material ahead of time, like whether it's scripts or manga or episodes. If I can like have some preparation, I will just take it in, not to like practice what they're saying, but just to like get a feel for like what's going on context wise. Because especially when you're doing anime, it's not like you watch the whole episode. When you're voicing a character, like you're voicing only the scenes that they're in, and directors tend to give quick context because, you know, we don't have a lot of time for sessions. Some directors are very thorough
And
about
sometimes
it.
the directors don't even know what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just like, oh,
They're just like, he
How
says
does,
this
how,
thing.
how does that work? How do they not know?
You're telling me. Your guess is as good as mine.
well, I think part of it is like the nature of anime dubbing, especially.
Very quick.
It's become very quick. I think years ago when you had people like Todd Havercorn and Monica Rial working regularly, you know, before us, the new generation now, they had like a year to work on it,
Yeah.
like a whole year. And now, right now, like an episode
3
is
months, or like a couple weeks, and then
well, really a week usually.
yeah.
Like we have a week to record everyone, and that includes like, you know, getting any pickups, getting doing any editing and stuff. So there's not really a lot of time to like be that prepared. And there's some directors that are really on top of it. I know Colleen is really good at that. I know Mike McFarlane is very good at that. And it doesn't mean that the others are bad for not doing it. It's just what you can handle, you know.
Also, there's a lot more things getting animes these days. So, like, not everybody has the time while they're working to watch everything and read every manga. And they might get 5 shows at the same time that they
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
do.
Oh yeah.
So,
Directors
it is
have a lot
hard.
on their plate.
So often it's up to us to like watch ahead so we can give ourselves our own context. Like, oh, I remember this scene. I remember what's happening. I remember what this character's going through. I watched this arc. That way, you don't have to try to like come up with the arc on the fly. Which in my personal experience, when I try to do that, I feel like it makes it more inauthentic. And I usually try to shoot for authenticity.
That's amazing to hear within the time constraint too with recording nowadays. That I also like that you use the word play too. There's this element of experimentation and iteration to ensure that you're comfortable with your interpretation too. So which leads to my next question of like, as we've heard, it takes a lot of this mental, physical, definitely physical, and sometimes emotional effort that goes into performing these characters. So what is your process for afterwards, like the recovery, you know, the self-care that you take for yourself so that you're refreshed for your next role, that you can bring your full A game next time?
It's hard. It's very difficult because sometimes we might have like for instance, for Kimono Jihen and Tokyo Avengers, I booked them at like the same. I booked Kimono Jihen first, and then a week later I booked Tokyo Avengers. They were both 44 hours total of recording, maybe more for Tokyo, but and I was doing them both at the same time. So I would be booked from 12 to 4, and then from 5 to what's 5 plus 4? 9. And I would do that every day or every other day, depending, because I also book other things throughout the week, and that
And
doesn't
audition for things as
and
well.
audition, and that doesn't give you any time to really relax at all, which is very easy to burn out. So I guess the best thing for that is to, before you audition, maybe look at the content and see if it's something that you actually enjoy and want to be a part of. And two, if it's emotional, like for instance, there was a show that I got an audition for that I was like, kind of hesitant to audition for because it was a character that I would love to play, and I did end up auditioning, but it was a character I would love to play, but I was going through a mental health like dip. And I was like, this is a very heavy subject, and if I do this, I have to do it for like the next 2 months. And so if you're not prepared for that, then just don't audition is kind of like where I'm at. You kind of have to learn these things as you go along. Because like when I first started, I was like, give me anything, please. I need to pay rent, even though I don't have rent. But I need money. So that was like, I was like, just give me anything. I just want to work. Now I'm just kind of being a little bit more selective. And, even if I'm busy, I try to, like on my weekends, I try not to think about work at all. When I'm here, places like cons and stuff, I try not to think about it other than like, meeting people like you guys and stuff like that. That's super cool. But you gotta leave room for hobbies and other things, and that helps. But when you're really booked up, it's really easy to burn out if you're not careful.
I am a workaholic. I always have been. And when when it comes to voice acting, I just always audition. If it's something that interests me, like I'll audition for multiple characters, whoever, I vibe with and can do, like realistically do. And that has been my prerogative, like, always. I've only recently decided to be a little bit more selective, but usually, like, let's say we get like 15 auditions in a week from our agent, like, I will audition for all of those, you know, even if they
Which is good if you
include
wanna
multiple
work.
characters. Yeah, and that's why I was kind of working a lot, especially last year and this year, because I was basically, I became very full-time come August because I booked stuff and I kept booking stuff, and, you know, I was just constantly working.
A maniac.
Yes,
So good.
I am. But, you know, it does get draining after a while. You do get burnout, especially when you're doing roles or projects that aren't exactly creatively fulfilling to you. And I think that's something I had to learn, where it's like, okay, I don't need to take on every role. You know, I can choose, especially now that I've become more established, now that I can call myself full-time. It's like, okay, let me go for things that, you know, let me go for things that wouldn't, like, make me dread coming to a session, you know? Because, you know, when you're doing, like, anything, everything, you can fall into projects that maybe you don't really feel. And that's normal for voice actors. Like, we're trying to make money, you know? We don't get paid a lot. So, you know, I've learned to be more selective. But
You don't got to audition for every isekai. You don't. There's a lot of them.
Don't
It's like the law of isekai. There will always be more next
Yeah.
year.
Yes. Yeah, like usually, like to recover from like emotional scenes, it's just about like it takes its time. You just gotta separate yourself from whatever it is that you did to yourself to get there. I remember like I did a scene from Ray Zero, Garfield, who was like all season, and then he finally got a season. He got an episode where he got to be vulnerable and talk about how he felt like his mom abandoned him. And then I was like, okay, well, have you? Then I was finding it hard to connect to, so I was like, have you felt like you've been abandoned in your life? Yes. By who? Just put them there. And then that like opened up some things, but it opened up some things, and you know,
Like you were your own therapist
yeah.
there.
And like you know, and they'll teach you this like in acting school. Like I went to a acting school where they were like, if you open something up, you gotta know how to close it back up again. So like once you like kind of open those doors, you gotta learn how to like, you know, put yourself back together afterward, which is like reminding yourself that you were just doing a role, you know, you're loved, and doing something that makes you happy, like going and get ice cream, you know, go get ice cream after you do an emotional scene, like go watch like a comfort show or a comfort movie, just something that like that brings you joy, that the exact opposite of what you did to yourself, you know, to be authentic to the role and the character. So for me, it's a lot of like, oh, like I'm gonna go play a video game, or I'm gonna go, you know, hug a friend, or make some food, or order some food.
Yes.
That I really like. So yeah,
ideal.
like really,
Treat
really
yourself.
listen to your body. I think it's a lot of like, oh, what would be good for me right now? Like this, and then just do it. Yeah.
I'm not good at that. Like, actually, to answer the original question, I usually don't do anything. I guess I'm very good at like stepping in and stepping out.
That's good. That's a good skill to have.
I guess. I mean,
No, it is.
I guess. I don't know, but you know, I can deal with like emotional scenes or like whatever and be okay afterwards. But when I'm working a lot, like back to back on a day with sessions, you know, it gets tiring after a while, mostly because it's like, you know, you're using a lot of mental power to
An emotional
voice
power.
act. And emotional power.
I'll end a workday tired. Like, why am I so
Oh, yeah,
tired? I've
same.
been in a
Yeah.
booth all day.
Same.
And I was realizing, I was like, because you're using you're using all this energy to be emotional every day, to go through. You're doing this every single day with yourself, and it's like, that's why I'm exhausted all the time.
Yeah. And I really try to take naps like on my breaks. I'm like, okay, let me like reset.
You take naps on your breaks?
Yes.
I'm afraid I won't get back up for the next session.
Oh no.
I'll be like, if I take a nap, it's not. I'm not showing up to the next
Well,
one.
that was happening to me recently where it's like, you know, I was waking up literally 5 minutes before my session. I would like stare at the time and I'm like,
Do I have to?
like, what can I say to get out of this? And then I'm like, okay, let's not do that. But it's just because depression,
Yeah,
you know?
it's me, like, that would be me, like, getting up and rushing to my booth and trying to pretend like I didn't just wake up 5 seconds ago.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
no, I'm good. How are you? Got tea. You know, that would be me.
Try to fake the
Yeah.
awakeness.
Yeah.
Nice. which fictional world would you want to live in the most out of characters you've played? You could just dive right in right now.
No.
I always say Pokemon. I feel
yeah.
I always
Solid
say
answer.
Pokemon. Pokemon's such a nice world. Everybody's nice. You get to be 10 forever. You get to travel the world with your homeboy and ride majestical animals every single day without aging. And I just think that's nice.
Without
I think
aging.
that's great. It's zoology, but advanced. And if you're lucky, you get to save the world. Maybe, it's great. I think. But actually, Pokemon gets really dark. Like Pokemon gets really dark. Yeah. But that's usually always my answer is Pokemon. I think it's healthy. It's like I wanted my brain to be sent to Animal Crossing when I died. So I think that's just a very happy eternal world to live in. So Pokemon. That's usually my answer.
Okay. Pokemon, Animal Crossing is backup.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to die at the age of like 13 as like Takamichi, like in that world. I wouldn't want to be in Kimono Jihen because I feel like Kimono Jihen for the most part is just a slice of life outside of the characters, so that'd be boring and just be life.
You don't want to be a cookie?
I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
I
you
was
don't wanna
like,
be a cookie?
that would be cool. I think I would actually want to be in A Restaurant to Another World. I just played like a super small character in like the third episode. The character named Jack. He was like
so
brown hair.
good.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah, and they were like eating burgers, but in another world, and I was like, that's dope. So yeah, probably that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different doors, different restaurants.
Yeah.
Every day
I love food.
eating.
Oh my gosh, it's hard for me to say because like some of the things I've been in are worlds you don't want to be in ever.
I mean, you don't want to be in Attack on Titan?
You don't want to be stuck in a
Anyways.
video game forever?
But I guess maybe My Hero Academia, just because like
That'd be cool.
I think it's a very interesting world. I think getting to see all the powers and have the possibility of even having powers yourself.
Would
like-
you want to be a pro hero, or would you want to just be a girl that like can like, I don't know, count super fast or something? I don't know, like some like lame power like that.
Quirk, counting,
I
math.
just want to be
Nobody
a
else can do it in this
waterbender.
world.
That's all I want. If
a
I can
what?
have, I want to be a waterbender.
Waterbender?
Waterbender?
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
So like I
That'd
want
be
to
cool.
just vibe in the ocean or lakes or
Yeah.
whatever. I'm not trying to be a hero. Sorry.
You
Yeah.
would be like Aqua Girl. Like Aqua.
Yeah, I'm just
I
chilling.
protect the ocean. I
Protect the
speak for
animals.
the whales.
I'm like a water person with cats.
Yeah.
That's true. Is there like an Aquaman character in My Hero yet?
I think there's like Bubble Girl.
There's
There's
Bubble
like
Girl.
Yeah, Bubble
yeah,
Girl.
she's like a pro. I think pro hero. She's not a top pro hero though.
Yeah, there really isn't like water
She's blue.
heroes, actually.
I remember she's blue. Huh? I think so. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Orca.
Orca.
Gang Orca.
Gang
Hey yo, he's
Oh.
cool as heck.
Of course. Okay. Well, out of all the characters that you played in the past, like, what are some like important lessons that you've kind of pulled into your real life that stuck with you?
For me, Takamichi is. I think Takamichi is very interesting because he already failed, right? He's already like hates where he's at, and now he has an opportunity to change things, and he's like, it's on him. Like nobody's forcing him to do it. Nobody's telling you go back in time right now. He's doing it because he wants to actually see a positive change in his life. He always says for those around him, but I don't think so. I think it's more for himself. I think he's kind of selfish. I think it's important to realize that while the world, I think it takes a village to succeed in life. But if you really want things to change for yourself, you have to go out of the way to do it. You find something that you can do yourself. No one's going to do it for you. So I think that's kind of like my takeaway. Is just like, I can complain about something, but like Bob down the street isn't going to help me fix it. I got to do it. So yeah.
Now, did you ask Bob down the street?
Well, no, I actually didn't. I should think about it
Yeah,
though.
yeah. Maybe
down
Bob the
street's
street
pretty
wants
cool.
to help you.
Yeah, you know.
Bob's a cool guy. When I think about things that I've learned, so I've done like some education modules where I'm just like, narrating stuff and giving like life tips to middle schoolers or high schoolers usually. And they'll like discuss like, oh, hey, this is how you can be successful, blah, blah, blah. And I'll like read it. Well, as I'm voice acting it, I'll read it and I'm like, oh, I should do this. you know.
You're
I-
learning from it too.
Yeah, I am, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I should do that, and then I don't do it. You know,
Right.
it is what it is.
That's
But that's the only thing I can really think of.
It's like a BuzzFeed like food video where you're like, I should make that, and you don't.
And you don't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hawks taught me to take all my trauma and hide it behind a cool facade of cool. That's what he taught me.
You didn't get that from being a Scorpio?
I mean, the Scorpio helps. I think I learned the most from Remy from Big City Greens. He's like a sweet kid, and he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he really cares about his friends, and he just wants to break out of his shell and do a lot of things that may make him uncomfortable, or that may make him that he might not normally do outside of being friends with Cricket. And he just like it's about him like learning about himself and like getting to have experiences that he previously would not have been able to have. And I think I learned a lot from that about like doing what you want and like breaking out of your shell and your comfort zone, and like exploring. And I think I learned that from Remy, especially because he's a kid. So he reminds me of like my kid self. So yeah, that's the most I think I've learned.
That's sweet. On the topic of diversity representation in anime or different mediums that you've done, I know AJ, you've talked about being psyched playing, Jocko and Shaman King, and then
Yes.
for Anaris, Nessa and Pokemon. How do you feel, POC representation has changed within the industry, and how has that impacted your work and your career?
I feel like, when I was growing up, very rarely did you see like black people in anime. If there were, they were depicted kind of racist. It was like, hey, what's going on? And and especially when I was growing up, like even with cartoons and everything, like I would tend to attach to anyone who had darker skin because I just did not see that. Like Katara in Avatar, like I know she ain't black, but I related with her and I liked.
She's
how
something
she-
though.
Oh yeah, she. I mean, hey, I claim her, but but I guess like having that like good representation, and I think it's getting better now. I think as you're having like this new generation, like I think our generation is very, very. They listen, we listen, and we care about each other, and we want to show each other. So you're having shows like The Owl House and Amphibia, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're just having like these diverse characters like on the front
Cricket's
stage, and it's really great. So we're definitely seeing a shift with media, and when it comes to I guess our industry. There's a shift happening for sure. I feel like what really kickstarted it was the Floyd protests last year because everyone was talking about, the unfairness they deal with their jobs and everything. And, some of us decided to speak up about that. And it's something we've talked about behind closed doors all the time to each other. Like, we all know that we don't get opportunities sometimes. We all know that we tend to get like black sides or whatever. And we talked about it, but it wasn't something you can really just bring up because weird power dynamic and everything. And
Yes.
you don't want to cause trouble, especially when you're barely getting auditions already.
You don't get blacklisted
Ha.
on top of being black.
Ha.
Yeah.
But I think it kind of put a fire under studios' butts, and they decided, hey, let's bring in more people, and it's allowed, for Zeno, for AJ, for me, and other people. And I think also the pandemic helped with that a lot too. So I think it's changing for the better. I feel like we'll see the most change again when we have that shift of power to the new generation. But yeah, I think it's getting better slowly but surely.
Yeah, like in agreement. Like I think like a lot of companies were like, oh, like we stand with the black community, and the black community was like, do you? Like who's
Like,
black
are
on
you
your team?
are you sure?
You're saying this to look good, like to save face publicly, but like, are you proving that
Exactly.
structurally?
And
I
past
think,
the Floyd protests as well,
Yeah.
because some did it for a few months and then
stopped, right? So you knew who was being performative and who wasn't. But I think it was like it really caused a lot of like industries to look at themselves and go, are we inclusive enough? Which isn't really a question they should have to ask in the first place, because everything should be equal, right? But I think also what has changed the industry is like a lot more. I think social media with like you have like personalities like Caleb City and like King Vader and like Kiera, my friend Kiera. Like there's like a lot of people who elevate these art forms and who elevate anime as a whole, who are black and who do want to be seen, and they got 1 million followers. Somebody is seeing them somewhere, and people are demanding better representation. So like there are, like, for example, Atsushi Okubo, who made Fire Force. He likes making black characters, and so that's what paves the way for something like me to play somebody like Ogun in that show. And even there are producers out here working on our behalf. I worked on Gundam Thunderbolt. Not Thunderbolt, I'm lying. Don't listen to me. Gundam Narrative. And I played a character named Deleao. And his design was kind of atrocious. And Stephanie Shea reached out to producers like, hey, you can't draw black people like this. They don't look like this. And the producer was like, whoa, really? And they went back and they changed it for the movie. And they were like, oh, did you see? We changed it. We made it better. So like it's really about like
cute.
advocating.
We did it.
Yeah, look. Even Jocko. Like Jocko looked terrible in the original Shaman King, and the design changed now. Somebody somewhere is listening, or somebody somewhere is speaking to someone. So it's slowly but surely kind of coming around, I think, and I think that's what it works like. What's his name? He did Samurai Champloo. Watanabe. Shinichiro Watanabe. I got it. I'm a nerd.
Oh, Carol and Tuesday. Oh my gosh,
we don't talk
that was
about that.
fantastic.
But Carol and Tuesday. Carol and Tuesday, great show.
And very briefly to add on that, I guess what happened now is that the conversation is being had, as opposed to like nobody's really speaking about it.
Yeah.
Like now, people want to learn, or people just want to just bring it up, and it's okay to talk about it now.
Yeah.
There's no like fear of being, I guess, blacklisted anymore.
Yeah.
So.
What I will say is a lot of people like to pretend or say like we're all the same. Not necessarily true. I think the message should be we're all different, and that's okay. Because we have shows like Squid Game that just came out, huge, that show a very different perspective on the human condition, and that's because it's a completely different culture, right? So and it blew up, meaning it can succeed, meaning that difference is good, right? And I think a lot of people are afraid of change, especially in professional industries, because people want to keep their jobs.
And
they want to make
keep things
money.
trendy,
They want to make money.
Yeah.
Exactly. But what I'm finding now, to answer the question, is that while you haven't seen a huge boom maybe in more POC, but this wouldn't have happened last year, or 2 years ago, or for the last 30 years. So there are people getting more opportunities all around, LGBTQ people, different races and everything. What was it? A show recently? There was an Indian character.
Sunny Boy.
Sunny Boy. Yeah. Sunny Boy.
Rajdhani.
And, yeah. And we're like, that's never happened, and kills it, right? And it's because like everybody is talented. And personally, what I do for when I'm auditioning is we still get black characters a lot, which is okay. I'm black. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's not like I don't want to play black people. I just don't want to play just black people. I'll play every black person you give me. But it's
exactly.
Like, I want to be the hero sometimes too. And they're not always black.
And it's but what I will do is I'll be like, I don't want to audition for characters where their entire personality is yo. Like, that is a very, like, the way we talk, the way we, like, the slang, all that other stuff is a part of who we are, but we're people.
Yeah.
So write properly, is kind of like where I'm at.
Yeah, not a caricature.
Yeah, like, I don't want that, I don't want to be the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
Like, I won't audition for those characters, but Joko, amazing.
Yeah.
I love Joko.
Ogun's like, incredible.
Yeah.
He wins. Well, he wins a fight. He doesn't like he's not useless. I
You
like that
know,
he's not
it's
useless.
it's a beautiful thing, and I think we're getting better and better writing because more POC are getting in the room to write, to direct, and
Yeah.
which is beautiful.
Yeah, it has
Thank
a
you
lot
so
to do with
much
behind the
for-
scenes. So.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on that. One more quick fun question. I think and then I'll like to ask you guys. So actually, two more questions, but I'm gonna decide your characters for you. So if Mirko, Hawks, and Takemichi went through the COVID lockdown, what would their lockdown hobby be?
Lockdown hobby.
Lockdown hobby.
Ugh, what would Takemichi do? If Takemichi was stuck, I feel like he was always in lockdown. I feel like he didn't leave his room probably, and he was scared of little kids. Like he was a 26-year-old man walking outside. I feel like Takemichi would just probably be the type to just watch DVDs and read comic books and stuff like that, and
Okay.
kind of do that. I think he would be boring if I'm being honest.
It's okay. You don't have to dream big during lockdown.
Yeah.
Anaris?
I think Mirko would just work out a lot.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, because I was like,
if you don't say, she's just gonna be like, working
like
out.
she would come out of lockdown buff as hell,
Buffer.
it'd be like, yo, what's going on?
Looking like The Rock.
Yeah, literally.
It's my pain. It's my
Looking like Armstrong, you know. But I think she would work out, and I also feel like maybe she'd get a rabbit.
Yeah, a
you
little
know,
pet. Yeah.
and just look after the rabbit, and that's her soft
Nice.
spot.
Bit
you
of
know?
a bit of a glow up lockdown.
Uh-huh.
You know?
I feel like Hawks would try to perfect how to cook the perfect fried chicken. He'd
I was thinking of
Whoa.
that.
He'd just be cooking. He'd just be like, how do I could just focus on making this recipe. Hawks would be chilling. I feel like Hawks wants to sit down. Hawks wants to just relax. He doesn't get to relax.
I think he would be binging.
Yeah, he'd be playing video games.
Well, and Netflix. He would
Yeah.
just be watching multiple seasons of The Office. Or
right,
something.
all the time.
is
Reading
very
books.
relatable.
Playing darts with his feathers.
Yeah, he'd love lockdown. He's like, oh, finally, I don't have to do anything. I have time to kill. Finally, yeah, he'd be chilling.
Thank you. Well, with that, let's open it up for audience Q&A. So I'm
Open
sure
it
some
up.
of you have some burning questions. So if you're able to walk down this line here.
Got
We
Toman
have-
in the front.
Oh, we got a
I
mic
don't
here.
think we can hear.
Your hair looks purple in this
Oh,
light.
it worked.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
There we go.
perfect.
I think everyone. Yeah. So if you want
Yes.
to line up behind me for
What's
questions,
purple? I think it's a light.
Yes.
it's very purple.
It was purple.
Fresh
And
purple.
then,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
Okay.
No,
It's the-
because there's no
I
purple
thought
light.
it was-
And then a couple ground rules for the questions. No marriage proposals. Keep it short and sweet for our guests here.
You say no proposals?
No marriage
Well,
proposals.
that's our go-to.
Yeah.
But if
All right. Well, you got it. All right. Come on. Go on.
Also, I would just say, please. The only thing is shipping with underage characters. Kind of. Let's not. Yeah. But other than that, yeah.
okay.
I'll go ask.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, Zeno Robinson, you said you would go to Pokemon. Which region would you live in?
Oh, that's a good question. Which region has Quilava? Because that's the region I would go to. Is that Johto? Oh, it was at Hoenn.
I think it's Hoenn.
Hoenn? Third one, right?
Maybe.
So Johto. I would live in the Johto region. Hands down.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's my favorite.
Come on up here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Also, that region had the best theme songs, just by the way. Just by the way.
So I know a lot of times certain anime blows up and just takes over the world. And a lot of times when you play a character or something like that, people kind of just make that you. Do y'all feel like that? Which that's not my question.
Does that happen to us? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question is, what's a character you feel like you did that wasn't appreciated enough? Like
So
I put a lot
many.
of work into this. If you had to pick one, what would it be?
That's a good question.
Harriet Bree. I think.
Oh, Harriet. Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly, in the first season, she was chill with Ruby, and then second season, she kind of became an antagonist, and I feel like people were quick to be like, oh, she's just being terrible, blah, 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 but I think she had a lot of interesting character development in Volume 7, or Volume 8, actually, and I feel like people just didn't really see it. They're just focused on like, oh, she's messing up with Team Ruby. Why is she messing with Team Ruby? It's like, no, but she complicated.
Yeah. Gruff swordsman for Xeno.
That's only because Guinea has had a chance to like do anything in the show proper. If he gets scenes and still gets ignored, then I'll be mad. I'd probably say some of my best work is actually Dazai and Bungo the Alchemist, and I just think that's just because the anime wasn't a very like popular anime, or because it was like kind of like a C-list anime, like not a lot of people watched it. But that was some of my best work, and also I think Vanitas is like some of my best work.
For sure.
Absolutely, like hands down, like Vanitas is probably my best work of the year, and I do wish it was recognized a little bit more. But people like Vanitas, so yeah, I think that's my.
For me, probably for the same reason, Shiki. I think Kimono Jihen came out around the same time that Jujutsu Kaisen, and there was like one other anime that came out, so obviously just dwarfed. But I think Kimono Jihen was actually a really, really good show, and I think Shiki, a lot of people say is like Shiki's just like Bakugo light, which is kind of true, but I enjoyed, Shiki wasn't just loud and angry, he had moments where he was emotional and he had real trauma, and I enjoyed the heck out of it, and I think, to be honest, performance-wise, if I'm judging myself, I like that performance more than I like even Takamichi. But, it is what it is, and I hope that we get more so I can do more, and maybe people get to see the character more, but, I'm proud of it, so that's okay.
It's good work.
And we have about 5 more minutes, so maybe like one or two more questions at max.
Come on.
All right, cool. I ain't gonna be next phone. How you guys doing? My name is Shaquille from the Spice on Podcast.
What's up?
Definitely want to ask you guys, with the recent rise of POC content creators within the anime and manga community, what do you feel like you want to see more of these creators do to bring a more positive influence into this space?
Whoa, sorry, can you say that one more time? I'm really sorry. my brain fried.
With the recent rise of like POC content creators within the anime and manga community, what do y'all want to see more of them do to bring a better positive space into the space?
Get behind the scenes, like try to get involved as much as you can. Like if we have people, like being directors or engineers or whatever, like at Funimation or other studios, like that adds to it, because you can kind of step in whenever things get a little like, I think that might be a little racist. Maybe don't say that, behind the scenes for sure.
Sorry, I'm just remembering that there's a scene in Dragon Ball where like, stop, that one's not black. It was like Goku.
And I was like, this man isn't black.
I was like,
oh no.
It was hilarious, but yeah. For me, I just say pretty much the same thing. Just get involved. Not like reach out to bigger companies. Like I promise. Like we just had a friend that worked with Viz Media. His name's Chris Dillon.
Chris Dillon.
Amazing. Just like did a short skit for them and everything like that, but. Reach out to bigger companies because they might not say no if you really do have some good content. So, yeah.
I think sometimes there tends to be a separation between, content creator and fan/individual, and I'd really like to see more like content creators kind of bridge that gap a bit.
Yeah.
And being open and honest with their fans, especially on important topics like representation and their impact. I feel like some kind of like recognizing your impact and what that means to another individual is very, very important. And connecting with everyone on a human-to-human level and being vocal on important issues, I think is important. Sometimes when there's an important issue that's being brought about, the people who you want to say something for you don't say anything. And I think that's kind of unfortunate because of course they don't owe us anything, but at the same time, us as their supporters, we would probably like to hear them kind of with their platforms, who help raise their platforms, kind of use it to stand up for us sometimes, or to help support us. Yeah, that's what I would like. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
With that, I think I have to cut off on the QA, and I'm so sorry. Thank you guys for sharing your time with us.
Yes, we will be. If there is questions that you guys had, please feel free to see us at our autograph tables and ask us. We'll answer.
Well, thank you. So I was gonna say, Inaris will be at the autograph table today from 3 to 6, Sunday 10 to 11, and 1 to 2. For AJ today from 3 to 6, and tomorrow 10 to 1, and then for Xeno. Same time, 3 to 6 today, and then tomorrow, 4. Oh, I stand, sorry.
It says
Stand
4 here.
corrected. And then, yeah. If you guys have the schedules, it's all down there. But
Who knows? Maybe I'll be there. I don't know.
We'll see how they feel. Everyone, please give it up for our guests today.
Thank you guys.